Hello, and welcome to this DBArtisan webinar. I'm your host, Anil Mahadev. We will be exploring DBArtisan, the flagship database administration tool for DBAs and developers alike. What we will be doing in this webinar is it is structured based on a couple of use cases we will be discussing, as well as we'll be having some time for questions. Please use the chat box in the Q&A of the GoToWebinar screen, and please type in your questions, and we will get to them 15 minutes before the end of the presentation. This is very interactive, so please feel free to ask any questions, and we will get started. Before we get started, I just wanted to get a show of hands if you folks can see my screen, please. Excellent. Thank you so much. So DBArtisan is our multi-platform database administration and development tool that enables you to connect to multiple database platforms within a single user interface. That's what makes DBArtisan so awesome. Apart from the capabilities of managing multiple database platforms, you have the ability to also have ad hoc performance, space, and capacity analysis built within the tool. What I would like to show you is the user interface first, and then we can go on and show you some cool stuff that'll make your lives as DBAs very productive. On the left-hand side is our Database Explorer. The Database Explorer comprises of the list of servers from various DBMS platforms. Here you can see I have a couple of Db2 servers. I have an Azure server. I have a SQL Server, one that is remote and one that is local. I also have a MySQL server. I have Oracle. Plus I have Postgres here. So these are some of the few things. Today we'll be focusing on between Oracle and SQL Server, but most of the other functionality remains the same, and as you will see. On the right-hand side is once you've connected to your server, you should be able to go ahead and look at the memory analysis graph onto your right, and at the top you're able to see the product version and what all it entails about that server. Now, in order to start working with DBArtisan, the first thing you'll do is to register a data source. So what I would like to do is, let me just go ahead and disconnect from my current SQL Server, and I will go ahead and unregister this. Now, in order to register a new data source, you would just go into Register, and here you're presented with a host of options that you can connect to via DBArtisan. So I'll choose Microsoft SQL Server. And here I'll just type in my localhost name. I'll choose Next. Here I'll choose, well, we support all of these different authentication mechanisms. So I'll go ahead and choose Windows Integrated. And you can see I have a successful screen. Next, what we have is our data source group. Now, this is very important. So let's say that you're managing servers across the globe, and you want to categorize them into various categories such as test, dev, or production. So here, I'll just put this as my development server since it's on my local machine. I'll go ahead and hit Finish. And here you can see that we can go ahead and connect to it. And now we can explore all different databases here. Next, what I'll do is I'll showcase a little bit about some of the productivity factors in DBArtisan. One of the first things for DBAs is to look at what are the processes running within your environment. So that's where we have the database monitor. So I'm going to go ahead and launch it. Here you will see DBArtisan quickly picks up all the active processes that are running here, and as well as any other options that you can see here. And what you can also do is at the top, if you know, for example, a program that is running, so if you just type in DBArtisan, it'll go ahead and get you that particular process. So no searching through all those lists like you would do normally. So you can actually go ahead and get all of this metadata info, and that's why we provide this search box here for easy access. So let's say I want to go to process ID 16 or 61, and here it goes and finds me that. And you can go ahead and see here as well, and you can just go from there. Now, what you also have is the ability to go through security, and I'll go through all of these features in just a bit. One of the important things for any DBA is to actually go ahead and get only the objects that he or she are responsible for. And if I have, for example, if I want to filter based on certain objects, based on object type, I want to organize this. DBArtisan makes it very easy. So right now, all I've done is just do it based on object type. Now you can notice that my trees are a little bit smaller and they're concise to what I need to do. So here, for example, I'm going to go into my server options, and I can go here and choose the version. So this gives me all the metadata related to that version. And it also provides me as a DBA to go ahead and provide all the access to the parameter or the configuration for that SQL Server. Now, if I were to go into Oracle and do something similar, I will get all the list of the ASM disk groups. I can get what version I'm running on, what patch update, what configuration I'm going through. So it gives me all of this metadata information. You can also go ahead and work with control files, data files, directories, etc. Now, in just 5 minutes, you've seen me go through 2 different database platforms without having any extensive knowledge of the database platform. So for example, all I had to do was just register, and most of the stuff DBArtisan will take care of it for you. So what I mean by not having to have much of a background in those databases, it automatically goes ahead and provides me with all of the required metadata from that target database platform. Also, it helps me with a lot of wizards that I will show you here in just a bit. One of the other options is that if you wanted to perform any kind of server level operations, so let's say I'm interested in initializing a backup device, so I can actually go ahead and create a backup device here, and let's say sample, and I can choose the type. It's either a disk or a tape, and the physical name, I'll just call it a sample disk. And then I can also get the DDL associated with it. I can schedule this, I can extract it, I can go ahead and save this script for later. So I'll just say disk creation and save it at that. And I can go ahead and execute it. And there you go. So here's my disk. And what's really cool is that you can also go ahead and generate a report out of all the devices that you have, along with the timestamp, and assign it in specific folders. And this goes and generates a quick HTML report for you, including the DDL associated with it. Now, if we were to look at, let's say, we want to start working with some SQL, right? So here what we can do is we can just go ahead and hit Control-N. And here I have a lot of options that I can work with. So here I can choose my database file. And let's say I do a SEL and hit a tab. It'll automatically go ahead and encode from the code behind. It'll go ahead and populate the script that I need to work with. So now all I have to do is to go into my sales LT schema and then pick my IntelliSense from here itself. And what we also do is once I've generated these results, I can also go ahead and generate a query plan associated with this. So now I can go ahead and have the query plan here in XML, or I can view it as a tree, or I can view it as a graph here. So those are some of the quick tips that we can showcase within the product. Now, let's say, for example, you've deployed a set of servers, and that requires a little bit of test data. So what you can do is, rather than having to go back and give developers or testers all the data, you can give them a subset of data to work with. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to go ahead and right click and say generate insert statements by choosing these here, and I can just click on OK. And now all I can do is I can save the script and go ahead and share this with my teammates once they have the appropriate DDL generated. At any given point in time, if you want to explore how you wanted to format this particular query, you can actually go ahead and choose format here. So now this brings you a much more cleaner and much more manageable code. So let me show you something from the Oracle side of things as well. And so let me go into, let's see, I go into my schema. Then let me go into tables. So here I have a couple of tables. So let me go ahead and do a select star from. And there you go. The same thing holds true for here as well. So you can actually go ahead and set the actual query plan here and rerun this. And this produces all of this here as well. So I'll go ahead and show it as a graph. And there you go. As you can see right now, we have just scratched the surface. There's a lot to see. So what I would like to do at this point is to showcase some of the productivity sections where you can work with DBArtisan effectively. So I'll go ahead and pick this AdventureWorks database. And what I would like to do is actually go ahead and select the sales LT schema, and I can run DBCC commands right here just by right clicking, and I can go ahead and update the statistics with row counts, etc. And I can preview the script here as well. And I can go ahead and execute this. And there you go. That easy. Oftentimes I get asked is what makes DBArtisan the most sought after tool for DBAs. I tell them that it gives you all the databases in one area, as well as giving you the ability to also, it's very context menu driven, as you can see here. So at any point in time of anywhere working on any platform, so whether if it's SQL Server here, or if it's Oracle, you have the specific context menu options for that particular database platform. So you don't have to go ahead and relearn another tool just for another platform. Everything you can do is within DBArtisan. So that's where it really shines and helps you become a much more productive DBA. Now let's explore the utilities menu. So here, for example, I'm going to choose Schema Extraction. And here, what we can do is we can perform schema extractions for a variety of things. Let's say, for example, you're having the new project in the pipeline, and you want to just go ahead and script out some scripts. So you can actually go ahead and choose the schema here. So I'll pick the sales LT schema. And here you can choose the objects that you're interested in. So here, DBArtisan automatically recognizes that whatever you need for your primary key and foreign key constraints, you're able to do this so. And here, if you look, I can go ahead and select that. And here also, you can change the owner if you wish. So let's say you're deploying this to another server, right? And you want to change this to something else. and you want to maintain the consistency. So you can either put it as a DBO, or you can just leave the retain owner option here. And what's really cool is that you can also go ahead and save this as an options template. So at any point in time, you can have your end users go ahead and access this through a shared area. And here you can see the SQL. I'll go ahead and hit finish. And you can also get a report out of this. So here, real quick, again, if your manager asks you for a report, I need all of the statements that were generated, but what all did you do with it? Here's the extraction report that you can just go ahead and email them. So now I'll go ahead and hit OK. So here's our entire set of DDL. Again, you can go ahead and format this, and you can go ahead and check the syntax to make sure everything's good. Now, what you can also do is you can go ahead and add this to the script library. The script library is a very, very productive area within DBArtisan, so that you can go ahead and specify or get this script for you as and when you need it. And what we can do is we can save that to our location, a default location. And then I will use Control W for this script library. And what that is going to do is, let's say I've gone ahead and closed DBArtisan, okay? And I've started a new query window. All I have to do now, in order to get that script back, I'll just use the hotkey, which is Control W, and I have my script ready to go. This is very useful. As I come from a DBA background, I found it very useful and productive. If I need to access some scripts that I'm running on a regular basis, I just need a quick access to it. This is where the script library and the hotkeys come into play. DBArtisan also has the ability to work with project management. So let's say, for example, you can set up a new project, and I'll just not initialize this here. I'll just choose a demo project, and I'll just go ahead and click OK. Now this gives you the ability to add any project, any files you want from it. The other option is to add database objects. So here I'll go and choose database objects from the project. And here again, I'll just choose the sales LT schema. Go down to the tables. Select all of them. Leave the defaults. Continue. And there you go. I have my projects that I can work with. Now, if you're having any kind of version control that supports the MSVCC 32-bit client, you can have it installed on the machine where you have DBArtisan, and you can add this to your favorite version control system. You also can add this to your folder where you have a local branch. It could be Git, it could be any version control system, and you can save that to the desktop as part of your project. And the way you do that is you go under your tools options, and here you can specify. Here you can see I have a working directory that goes under Git repository, and I can go there and have that saved. One of the other cool things from a database administration perspective is the ability to look at your code assist. Now, code assist will help you as you're typing, so you can have a lot of assistance as you type. You also have the ability to look at script execution. So when you execute a script that is from either a manual script or from a file, you can execute this. So let's say if I do select add version, it'll give me the version of my SQL Server that I'm interested in. I can go to my SQL Server machine here, and I can go to output, and I can choose a graphical output, or I can put the output in any of these tab limited, CSVs, all of these files. Next Now that I'm interested in this, I can just go ahead and script this out, and I'll choose for the graphical output. So now it goes and executes the script on the server, and it gives me all of this information. One of the other key things of DBArtisan is whenever you get into a result set. So for example, if I wanted to extract, let's say I go into one of these queries here. I can go in here, goes and executes this. And once we have that, I can actually go in and extract this information that I need. And in the result set, let me go to one of the samples that I have here. Okay, so here I have a result set. I can always go ahead and view this either in HTML or view it as ASCII. So for those of you who would like to go ahead and copy this to another Excel spreadsheet, well, you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is just highlight this and save it as a CSV. And plus we give you all the options to do the comma separated values, as well as the type, the pipe, all of these options are supported. So now let's take a look at another option. So let's look at our file execution facility. So last time I showed you was a script execution facility. Now we'll choose files. So here, if you have a file that's already there, you can actually go ahead and execute if there's some SQL files in there. And you can go and specify with the target, specify the output, and notification. Now what you can do is you can also go ahead and look at our visual differentiator. So let's say you're interested in comparing a database object with a SQL file. So that's something that we'll take a look at. So here I have my database object. Then let me go ahead and open up, let's say, a SQL file here. So here you can see there's differences between the two. So then you can just say, what's the difference? And of course, you can exit out of it. Next, we have the ability for you to build your own queries. Now, this is something that is really, really cool for those who have not comfortable writing SQL, but we can help you build these queries really, really fast. So for example, we can just go ahead and let's say associate this with a product ID here. And then from here, you can actually go ahead and associate the category ID here. And finally, from the product description, you can associate the product ID here as well. So now all I have to do is just tick the columns that I'm interested in. And there you go. So now I'm actually going to go ahead and choose this option. And then I can either execute it, or I can copy this, open a new iSQL window, and paste it here. So then if it goes and does a long query, if it matches the requirement, it'll go ahead and return the result set. If not, you'll get it like this. Again, you can go ahead and run it with the execution plan and see how that does. So now we'll go into a graph. And here you can see how it is. A little more complex execution plan. Now, one of the most important aspects is upon executing any kind of query, we would like some table-based reports. So what we can do is we can actually go ahead and click on the table section and generate a table summary report. And this will give you all the list of tables. Again, very, very helpful if you wanted to get a an audit of any of the servers that you're working with, as well as getting the list of tables associated with that. Now let's try and shift gears a little bit, and then let's talk a little bit about logging into your SQL Plus or SQL CMD. So we provide native integration as long as you're installed the SQL tools. If you're used to just checking something on the command line, you can go ahead and do this like this. And then now you can just go ahead and just execute your favorite queries like this. So we provide you with those options as well. Now, what you can also do is look at our code workbench. Our code workbench enables you to auto replace any of these statements that you're trying to work with. So for example, if I do a SEL, it gives me a select star from. So if I were to do, just say the expression as ver, and then the activation will be tab, and it'll do its select at version. So all I have to do at this point, in order to go into a new iSQL window, just say ver, hit tab, and there you go. Another fantastic feature within DBArtisan that helps you to make yourself very productive within the tool. And then, of course, you have your customize option where you can go ahead and change the look and feel. So here right now it's in blue. I can choose any of these if I want. So if I wanted the 2020, 2010 silver UI, I can just go ahead and apply this for the visual styling, and it'll go ahead and apply this for me. As you can see, I have a much more Office 2010 look and feel. Now let's talk about our Analyst Packs. So we have mainly 3 Analyst Packs that come with the product. So one is the Capacity Analyst, which is used for capacity planning. And let's go ahead and take a look. So let's go ahead and create a new capacity collection wizard. So here I'll call this a unique collection name. So I'll just say daily, or I'll just say quarterly report. And then here I can choose what objects I want to perform a trend analysis on. So I can choose either the database structures, I can choose database objects, performance statistics, or wait events. I can choose any of those here as well. Then we need to specify what databases we would like to have as part of our training analysis. So here I can choose get me this. I can then go ahead and specify the file groups and maybe the space. And there you go. So these are all the parameters that DBArtisan has so smartly figured it out, so I don't have to go in there and figure everything out by myself. So now what we can do is we can either do it collect by owner or by object. So here is where DBArtisan really shines, and we can give you the ability to look at those tables that you're interested in. So I'll pick these sales LT here. And within the tool, we provide you with context help that guide you through the process. So at any point, if you're stuck with any of our wizards, you can always click on the help button and navigate. So now I'll just go ahead and hit finish. I'll just say yes, and it pops up the job scheduler that lets it run at certain times. And there you go. Next, let's talk about Space Analyst. Space Analyst gives you the ability to basically, as the name suggests, it gives you an analysis of your space, of your storage structures within the database. And this is an example for Oracle. And here you can look at all the data files. So you're having all of your data files. It tells you what needs to be, whether it's fragmented, what's the fragmentation index. Then you also have a nice table space map. So this gives you a visual of how each of them are being there. So it's just populating all of these here. And Then you also have the ability to look at the table structures here, and you can pick based on the table owner. And if you're looking at any of the parameters to display all tables, or you want to just display tables with chain rows, and from different table spaces, and you can hit refresh. If you want this, and if you want it from the sys or any of this other user, you can get all of this metadata. And what's really cool is that you can actually go ahead and look at the threshold options for all of the space analysts to give you. So this enables you to have this in place. Next, finally, as you can see here, the job has kickstarted. So what we'll do is, let me go into the performance analyst now. The performance analyst enables you to, it is an ad hoc. So as long as you have DBArtisan open, you can go ahead and look at the performance for your database. So for example, here on my left-hand side, I have my buffer cache hit ratio. It's at 100%, which is awesome. Then here, if I look at my other ad hoc SQL hit ratio, it's 86%. Now, if I want to dive a little deeper, I can actually go to navigate page 2 on there, or I could just go ahead and look at the data source thresholds. And here, what we do is, well, with DBArtisan, we provide you with a sample template, and that default template will enable you to specify the thresholds that you have. So you can actually go ahead and pick this particular threshold, and you can just say add. And you can pick, let's say if CPU is greater than 80%, send me an alert, or I can specify the severity here as well. So I'll put it as critical. So I can specify all of these. Next, you have the memory section where you can actually look at all the memory structures here. Then you have I/O. So your input, output, your page reads, your page writes, reader head pages. All of this metadata is being described to you here easily. And of course, here you have space. So here, if you look at this, you can actually navigate into the individual file groups, and we provide you with all of this information here as well. Now here, if you want to look at the top sessions, as a DBA, you want to monitor all the top sessions, so you can go in here, and you have system weights and session weights. So again, everything is being given to you with just a click. And here you can see it says the number of errors logged in here. So if you wanted to go in there and navigate and go to the details, you can go to the details. It gives you all of this metadata information. So in short, DBArtisan enables you to be the most to be a productive DBA, and helps you to get to where you need to be without having to navigate multiple tools, and also being able to get the job done, and also help you to become a much better DBA. So with that, I would like to take some time for some questions now. So let me look at this question. Does it allow some detail like session browser object? Yes, Jaydeep, it does have the session browser, which I showed you here in the database monitor. So here, if you look, I do have the database monitor here. So here it gives me all the session information. And then if you're looking at all the top summary, database IO, weight, statistics, all of this is given in these sections. So hope answered your question. What is the overhead to the server in terms of collecting data? Here, since it is a just a client-based tool, it does not have any kind of it just installs it creates a database if you want for the performance stuff, but otherwise there's no performance overhead. And it's not agent based. It just extracts it from the SQL. So would you consider DBArtisan to replace SQL Diagnostic Manager? I would say no, because SQL Diagnostic Manager is a monitoring solution, and DBArtisan is an ad hoc monitoring solution. And what is the difference between this and Diagnostic Manager? Well, DBArtisan is a flagship database administration tool, whereas Diagnostic Manager is a full-scale performance monitoring tool. How do you identify slow running queries? Well, we have a tool for that, and I would like for you to register for our DB Optimizer webinar, where we can show you how you can identify slowly running queries. So we can definitely take a look at that. These are all great questions. Are you we still have about maybe another 10 minutes, so happy to take any more questions. One of the other things I would like to showcase here is also our ability to connect to cloud-based databases. So here you can see I'm connected to the IBM cloud, and here you can see I'm connected to, let's say, the Oracle cloud, and also here I have a Azure SQL, and here I'm also connected to my, here we go. So this one is here, and then I believe, yeah, this is my Oracle cloud that I'm connected to. So here you can see what version I'm running, as well as any disk groups that they list. Plus, if I go in here and look at the schemas, I can actually look at all of these here as well. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and view this. I can do a select star from. And if I wanted to also just look at the structure, I can just choose describe. And there you go. So it's going and bringing me the metadata from there. So once you have gotten and describing, so here you go. You should be able to view that. So here you go. So here you have the describe option. Next, what we have is the ability for you to also go ahead and reorganize. So you can actually go ahead and reorganize a particular object or a set of objects. And what else do we have that I want to show you? Let me open up another. Okay, there we go. So let me hit cancel here. I would like to say that in closing that we are giving you the ability to just manage multiple databases within a single UI. That, if you're looking at some of the other tools in the market, they will probably have you, install multiple versions of it for each different platform. So we are unique in this space. We've been in this space for almost two decades, so we know what we're doing. And after this webinar, please, what I would like to do is also direct you to our homepage. So let me go to our DBArtisan homepage. So let me go to the IDERA website and show you how you can kickstart your evaluation with DBArtisan today. So what you can do is you can go under products, and you can go under the DB Studio section. And this is where we provide you with a bunch of suite tools. So for example, today I demonstrated DBArtisan, so managing multiple database platforms using a single user interface. The next webinar we'll be having is on DB Optimizer, and once that is done, we'll be having one on DB Change Manager. So this is meant for change management. This is meant for SQL profiling and tuning. Say Rapid SQL, which you attended last month, had the ability to work with SQL queries, writing faster SQL queries. And today we took a look at DBArtisan. So how you folks can get started is by clicking on the Start for Free button. And here you can see that you just have to enter some information and you should be able to go ahead and access this. So you have these options. Just fill out the form and go from there. So with that, let me see if I have any more questions. Okay, can you please repeat your statement about DB Optimizer? Yes, so DB Optimizer is our flagship SQL profiling and tuning, query tuning solution, where we can go ahead and profile your database, check for any kind of performance issues, and say how to identify the slowly running queries, etc. In terms of reports, can they be scheduled? Not at this time, but thank you for the question. Let me see here. What kind of mapping are we talking about? Can you please elaborate on your question? Are you talking about any kind of relational mapping? If so, I think in the query builder, you are able to establish an entity relationship as we did the joins. So the establishment of mapping, if that was your question. All right. If anybody else does not have any more questions, we would like to thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Have a wonderful day.